Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about triangulation within the narcissistic relationship. Keep in mind, I want to be clear that when I'm speaking about, and it doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship or not, it could actually be a mother father, a parent, a sibling, but basically, I'm speaking about the psychopathic higher level narcissists. So I know that there's people out there who have narcissism channels who don't believe that it makes a difference. They're like a low level narcissism mid range. I believe it makes a difference. I believe that the higher level psychopathic ones affect you much more. And especially when the context of romantic relationship. Although I shouldn't have said that. If you have a narcissistic parent, it's god awful, especially if you're being severely abused. Although they can be just as damaging psychologically. For me, it was more psychological damage. Although my parent wasn't a narcissist, she was a malignant borderline. Um, with narcissistic tendencies because they're comorbid, they overlap. The cluster B personality disorders overlap. So triangulation. I like to tell stories, so I will tell you uh, a story to give you an example of what triangulation is. So I was in a narcissistic relationship, and there was several women that he triangulated me with. Um, I'm going to use one first as an example, who was his best friend. Um, and what he would do is he would tell me all these awful things about her, about how she's secretly in love with him and she's so jealous of our relationship she can't handle it, and you know she is so damaged and so screwed up that she can't even admit her jealousy of our relationship. And, um, you know, she hates me and all this other stuff. And I was like floored because I thought, oh, wow, like I didn't even realize that. And I'm like, why is she jealous of me? Like, and the thing of it is that there was definitely some truth in that, and I didn't care for her anyway because she was this is really screwed up, but she actually used to date my ex, and I didn't like her then. And it didn't have anything to do with the fact that she was dating my ex, because I could have cared less. It was the sneaky things that she did. So like, but I'm the kind of person where I'm just like, I let everything roll off of me. I always like to take the high road, and I totally just didn't even give her a second thought. So when he was telling me all these things about how much she hated me, I was just like, what in the heck? Like, for what reason? And then I thought maybe it was because of my ex, but I'm not with him anymore. And he's like, no, she's jealous of our relationship. Oh, okay. Um, but then I soon realized that he was probably doing the same thing with her. And what he would do is, depending on if I was being abused at that time, either I was being like love bombed. In the beginning, it was mostly just love bombing in the beginning. After, it was kind of like, they will love bomb you maybe for a day. They'll throw you some crumbs to keep you coming. But mostly it's just abuse because they get more narcissistic supply, more supply from treating you badly than they do from treating you good. So understand that. So they basically will do the same. They'll tell you one thing about this person, and then they'll tell that person the same thing, right? So I forget how I found out. Oh, she said something to me. She was like drunk, and she said something to me like, um, I forget what it was, and I was like, wow. I was like, did you tell her that I said that? Like, that's really messed up. And he was just like, could care less that I found out that I knew that, she spilled the beans because she was drunk and told me. So I found out that he was playing both ends against the middle. And it was weird because him and I were friends too. We never graduated to that next level because when it got really heavy, I was kind of like, I'm not ready for that. And so I thought if I kept it sort of open relationship, that would be better because I saw how he would get rid of these women every 2 years. He would recycle. And I just thought he was a womanizer and I didn't, so I wanted to keep it. But that actually gave him a free pass to abuse me more because we weren't friends. Because that would be a lie if I were to say we were friends. We were not friends. We were definitely, romantically involved. So he would do this thing where, he would play both of us against each other. And then one of the times, this is so juvenile, he was trying to abuse me, and he had her over and a bunch of other people over, and he would literally do this thing where he totally ignored me the whole day. He never asked me if I wanted anything, if I wanted a drink. Now, keep in mind, I pretty much would go in there, go in the refrigerator, whatever, because we had that kind of relationship. But this day, I was getting this kind of like this from him, like totally ignored me. And she was following him around the house everywhere he went and whispering in his ear. And they're both like looking at me, and I'm thinking, am I in kindergarten? Like I'm in kindergarten. This is insanity. But how, at that point I already knew what he was and what he was capable of and what he was doing to me. But I couldn't believe it. But yeah, he was, basically using her against me and he would triangulate the both of us. And he would do this with women he was romantically involved in as well. By the way, this is a tool for triangulation. Okay. They could make you go insane using this device. Absolutely insane. I've had times where he's invited me over. I'm going to make dinner. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to chill. And we did. But then while he was on the couch, every 10 seconds, ding, 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 ding. Well, now, I'm not going to ask him who it is because that's not my personality. That's not my makeup. So he would just ding, 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 or the phone would ring constantly. And for the most part, he wouldn't answer it. There were times when he did answer it and tell me just out of nowhere. Didn't happen very often, but it was extremely cruel. He would invite me over and then he would go, you have to leave. Yeah, I mean, basically like, I have another girl coming over, you got to go. And at that point, I was so hooked in that I would just be devastated and I would leave. So, he did it to me New Year's Eve. I'll never forget. I was at a friend's house and he begged me to come over on New Year's Eve. And he had been to a party earlier that I wasn't going to, and I was cool. But I did think that he was going to see me on New Year's Eve because he called me like 100 times. And I thought, that's cool. I'm going to get to see him before midnight, or close to it, whatever. And as soon as I got there, ding, 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 it got so bad that I had something called, and a lot of narcissistic abuse victims have this, and also SRA victims, MK Ultra victims, children that the government abused, and or narcissistic abuse by a parent. There's certain triggers that would trigger your PTSD. It's called complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, and every time I would hear an iPhone ring, whatever that means, it sounds like Chinese music, do 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 do, whatever, I would lose my shit. Even if I wasn't with him or in a room with him, I could be walking in a store and somebody's phone would go off, and I would literally go into full-blown post-traumatic stress disorder episode. I would have a complete panic attack and meltdown. Now, that being said, I healed myself and I got out of that. And that's why I'm here making this video, because I didn't die. I did survive. And now I'm thriving. You got to thrive. You can't just survive, because you got to completely heal your shit. And I'm going to say this at the end of every one of these videos. Heal your shit, okay? Whatever's damaged in you that allowed you to pick them in the first place. That is what has to be done. Look at yourself. Stop looking at them. This thing, I purposely have that ring on this phone right now, because I prove to myself every day that I healed myself from that. So, anyway, after, he would also triangulate me with this one girl all the time. And she came to the house one time while we were, he had an event, and I went to see him. He was an entertainer. And we got back to the house, and he had bumped into this girl on the way home. Now, she knew I was there, but she was calling him to come over. And he was just, I guess, I thought he wasn't going to tell me to go home, and he didn't. Then when I started drinking and she was on her way over, he's like, "Oh, you're drinking too much. I think you should go. I don't want any jealousy or whatever." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it got really ugly, and I turned into a person that I didn't recognize. It got real ugly real fast. And shortly thereafter, I became suicidal. He was exceptionally cruel. He was cruel. He was evil. He's a psychopath. So, very mean-spirited, more than mean-spirited, cruel. So, that's pretty much what triangulation is. They will tell this person one thing about you, and then they'll tell you something about that. So he wants the jealousy. It just so happens that she was like the only girl that I was jealous of, but it was because she was jealous of me. So I'm not jealous. I was never jealous by nature. She would constantly get on him and say, "Your girlfriend, your girlfriend, your girlfriend." And she was very jealous of me, this particular girl, not the girl that he was friends with. This was a girl that he was just sleeping with, basically. And she would always try to use me as an excuse to give him shit. And so because I knew she was jealous of me, it was almost like I mirrored that. And I became jealous of her. And I think it was because he was filling my head with, "She's jealous of you." So then I became jealous of her. So now we're both jealous, and he loves every minute of it. Then this is what they do. They love every minute of that shit. They love it. And it's crazy making, and nobody should ever treat you that way. You should never tolerate that. So I'm back to find out what it is that allowed you to get in the relationship with that person and heal it. Do your shadow work. I'm going to be talking about other things on this channel. I'll do some more disclosure videos about current events right now with the pandemic and the cabal and the deep state. We're going to do all that. But I also want to talk about spiritual healing and shadow work because it's very important right now that we all do it. And you do the work till you die. Yes, I did enough work to get away from him, and I did, but there's still always more work to do. I have so much more healing to do. And if people say they're healed and they're done their work, please, that's, I had a woman who, she had a, sort of like a new age church, whatever you want to call it. She's a fantastic woman, even though I know that new age was infiltrated as well. But she always said, please remember, you do the work until you die. So until I take my last breath, I will do the work. Do I get lazy? Do I procrastinate? Do I distract myself? Yep, you're damn right I do. I'm not proud of it, but I own up to it. And, I will continue to fight against that and do what I have to do to keep healing. And that's what we should all be doing because it's our only way to escape the grip of the cabal. All right, guys, on to the next video.